Marvel Rivals matches hinge on one thing: positioning. It's the difference between controlling games with heroes like Mantis or Winter Soldier and staring at the respawn timer. But the word positioning itself is quite broad. How exactly do you position better? In this video, we're breaking down 6 must-know factors to nail your positioning, step by step. I'll also share one key piece that fundamentally changed how I played the game and helped push me into high elo. We'll start by exposing what bad positioning looks like, because once you see the mistakes, the path to winning clicks into place. So what is bad positioning? It's not just a random oops, it's when your spot in the fight doesn't give you what you need to succeed, and it's sneakier than you might think. Let's paint a picture. Say you're Rocket, darting around with that jetpack, but you're in the middle of an open lane, no walls, no crates, nothing. You're mobile, sure, but if Black Widow's rifle catches you or Iron Man starts focusing your fluffy tail, you're toast before you can react. That's bad positioning. Zero protection, no way to manage the damage coming your way. Or imagine you're Spider-Man, swinging ahead to harass their backline. It feels proactive, but if your team's still regrouping at spawn, you're alone. No one's there to capitalize on your distraction. You might dodge for a bit, but you're outnumbered, cut off, and eventually focus down. Now, take Hulk. Pushing deep to smash their strategist sounds heroic, right? But if your squad's playing cautious or you're holding a choke, you're overextended. You're tanky, but not invincible. Without backup, you're just feeding their ults. Even smaller stuff, like playing Storm on low ground while they've got high ground, it shifts the fight. You're blasting away, but they've got the angles, and you're blind to half the map. Bad positioning often feels fine until it doesn't. It's when your choice doesn't match your goal. Maybe you're too aggressive as Groot, stepping out when you should have stayed near cover or your walls to shield your team. Or you're sniping as Hawkeye, but too close to the brawl, losing your range advantage. We've all had those moments where we think, why am I dying so fast? Or where's my team? That's the clue. Bad positioning is about missing the setup for success. Let's flip that with some smarter ideas. Tip number 1. First thing to consider, cover. It's your foundation for staying alive, and it's effective. Playing near something solid like a pillar for the Thing or a crate for Wolverine, it lets you trade damage on your terms. Peek out, land a vine or a shot, then duck back when their focus turns your way. It's not about camping, it's about controlling when you're vulnerable. Try this. Next game, pick a spot with cover and stick to it for a bit. You'll see how much more you can do without being an easy kill. Here's the nuance. It's not always about hugging cover forever. If you're too static as Luna Snow, never stepping out the pressure, you're safe, but mostly useless. You can heal some of your teammates, but maybe not all of them. And again, you're not pressuring anyone ever. Anyone can heal bot. Rocket Raccoons, this is not a shot at you guys. Definitely heal when you need to heal, but if there's downtime, you need to be doing some sort of damage or pressuring, regardless if you're Rocket, Luna, or whoever. Or if you're Thor, hiding might waste your hammer's throw range. Cover's strong when you use it to enable your plays, not just to survive. Think about the enemy too. If they've got a Widow sniping, that wall's your best friend, but if it's a brawl with Venom, you might need to adjust. It's about timing and purpose, not just safety. It doesn't matter what rank you're in, even Eternity players stay too far in the open for too long from time to time. Stay behind cover. You don't need to step fully out from cover to shoot people. I can't stress this enough. You can stay partially behind cover and shoot. Very few do this consistently well outside the top 500. If you make a habit to utilize cover more, you will notice a stark difference in your gameplay and how it shifts team fights. It's insane the amount of value you can add to your team by simply increasing your uptime. Tip 2, high ground. Getting up top like Black Panther on a perch or Storm hovering higher, it shifts the fight in your favor. You've got better sight lines, more targets in range, and they've got to crane their necks to climb or to hit you. It's a power move. Think of how much easier it is to web someone from above or rain blasts down. All maps have ledges or platforms, so make a habit of using them. It's not just about surviving, it's about controlling those angles. Here's where it gets tricky though. High ground's great, but it's not a golden rule, of course. If your team's brawling on the point below and you're up top as Magneto or something crazy like that, not shielding anyone, you're out of the fight, you're safe but irrelevant. Or if you're Hela, sniping from a ledge is perfect until they push past it, then you're too far to properly contest or you don't have a proper view anymore. It's strong when you're coordinated, and if you're Thor, dropping a hammer from height is clutch, but you might need to jump down to secure the kill, and that's okay to do too. Consider the flow. High ground works best when it aligns with what's happening below, not just because it's there. Speaking of always being there, a huge thank you to today's sponsor, Raid. I'm just kidding. Please don't click off the video. Hello, beautiful people. I'm Prophet. If this guide is clicking for you, consider subscribing for weekly Marvel Rivals content. It's free, keeps these breakdowns cooldowns coming and it helps me out. Let's roll on. Third tip, range. Positioning's tied to where your hero's kit shines brightest. Black Panther's Spirit Rend lunge is devastating up close. Get in their face and you're a terror. But if you're lingering back, waiting for a perfect moment, you're wasting that burst. You're wasting a big window of opportunity. Black Widow's the flip side. Her rifle thrives at a distance, picking off stragglers safely. Too close and you're caught in the chaos, losing your edge. Think about your hero. Where do you hit hardest? Next match, tweak your spot to match that range consistently. That's the key, consistently. You'll feel the difference. Always be looking for ways to leverage what your character does best. Always be looking for what they do best. But it's not that simple, right? Range has trade-offs. If you're Psylocke, staying back feels safer, less damage taken, but you're not pressuring their backline, so your team kind of crumbles. Or as Star-Lord, you might hang mid-range to spray, but if they've got a Hela or a Hawkeye, you're likely too exposed without proper cover. So context matters. Namor can creep closer if the enemy's distracted, or Panther can hold back a beat if his team's setting up a dive. It's about finding that sweet spot where you're effective without overcommitting. Watch the enemy too, of course. If they've got long range threats, adjust tighter to cover. And if they've got brawlers, stretch your leash a bit. Range is fluid, it's not fixed. Fourth consideration, your team's position. Being near your squad can create synergy. You're not just one hero, you're a unit sharing the fight. If Groot's wall stalls a push, Moon Knight's primary can help clean up. That's beautiful. Check your surroundings. Where's your team? Stay close enough to combo, but not so tight you're all clumped for an ult. Here's some more nuance. It's not always about sticking like glue. Star-Lord might hang back looking for an off angle while the team brawls. That's fine if he's landing picks. Or Iron Fist could head off to harass key targets while everyone's distracted. But if he's too far ahead when the fight starts, he's kind of irrelevant. Overextending's the trap. Say you're Hulk charging their strategist, but your squad's still at a choke. You're bold, but alone, and they turn on you. Flexibility's key. If you're flanking as Panther, time it when they're distracted, not just because you can. It's about being part of the plan. Sometimes that's tight, sometimes it's loose, but it's always connected. And here's that key piece I mentioned in the beginning of the video that changed how I approach the game: patience. This is relevant for all of the tips we're mentioning today, but here's why I'm bringing it up with team positioning. If you go in too aggressive, you could die. Not good. Let's say you don't die, but now you're one shot. This also hurts your team. Why? Now your strategists need to figure out how they can heal you while getting dove on, and your guy's frontline tank needs help as well. What does a strategist do in that situation? Exactly. They have too many decisions to make in a short period of time, and they're more likely to make the incorrect choice, or simply don't have enough time to address everything in time that it needs to be taken care of. And I'm really stretching this word across different avenues here, and what I mean by that is, when I think of patience, I also think of patience with teammates. They're human, they're not perfect, and this goes for any level of play all the way to the top. Focus on you, not on them. You can ping for heals or even kindly ask your team for them, but leave it at that regardless of their response. You simply can't control what they do. If you're patient, you're less prone to mistakes, you have a clearer mind, you can process more information, and you'll see new opportunities open up that weren't an option 6 seconds ago. I'm not saying you should stand behind a wall and wait 30 seconds for the perfect moment to arrive, but I am saying instead of frontlining with your tanks for the 4th time in a row, slow down for just a second and reassess the situation. Is there an off angle you can take? What's the enemy team's layout? Is there a particular enemy that has the majority of kills that you should focus on isolating? In a 6v6, it's easy to get lost in all the hubbub. Take 2 seconds, not 20, and analyze what you can immediately do to drive the most impact for you and your team. Then execute. It may take a few seconds to set your approach up, and you may have downtime from shooting. If it lands you the pick though, that's often the layup that's needed for a team fight win. 5th tip, map control. Holding key spots like a choke, a health pack, or a sightline shapes how the fight unfolds. If you're defending, lock a tight spot down with Invisible Woman's primary or Psionic Vortex or Squirrel Girl's primary or her ult. If they're forced to funnel through, you're getting insane value. If you're attacking, push their edge with Punisher's aggro, cutting off their room to breathe. It's not just about frags, it's about owning space. But there's more to it. Control's situational. If they've got the point locked and you're fighting over a side path as Captain America, you're not really controlling what matters necessarily. Or if you're Adam Warlock, holding a high perch can be great until they bypass it. Then you're chasing and you're not leading. That's not a good spot to be in either. Think about trade-offs. Committing to a spot might pin you down. So if they've got mobility like Iron Man, you might need to shift. Enemy comp matters too. Against snipers, control cover heavy zones. Against divers, deny key flank pass. It's strategic, it's not static, so adapt as the map shifts. 6th tip, win condition. Your position should always tie to what wins the game. Capping, stalling, whatever it is. Holding a point, get in there with Doctor Strange, soaking hits to buy time. Are you stalling? Anchor a choke with tight positioning, slowing their push. Be hard to kill. Smacking around the enemy with your primary as Scarlet Witch is solid, but if they're capping and you're not contesting, it's often meaningless. Mid-fight, ask, is this spot helping us win? If not, move. Even if it's risky, like dropping to low ground as Widow to touch the objective, you're gonna lose that fight anyway if you don't touch it. You have to try. I've won multiple games as a squishy going on to the heavily contested point in overtime simply because I touched for 2 additional seconds before insta-dying, but it gave my big bad tanks just enough time to come in and clutch the dub. You'll lose more of those than you'll win most likely, but again, it's a guaranteed loss if you do nothing. So the key here is do something. Here's the depth. It's not always obvious. If you're ahead, playing safe, even as Groot near cover, might secure it. Don't over push, but if you're behind, the same spot's too passive. You might need to step up and force a play. Enemy moves matter too. If they've got an ult like Rocket Raccoon's 40% damage buff ready, staying split up might help mitigate total damage taken, but clumping could win a trade if you have an Adam Warlock with Soul Bond ready, for example. Risk comes into it. Diving is magic. To stop a point cap might get you killed, but if it stalls long enough, it's worth it. Win conditions your compass. Let it guide your decisions. There you go. 6 things to consider. Cover, high ground, range, team position, map control, and the win condition. It's a lot, but start where you're at. Maybe you felt that "why am I here" moment and tweak one piece at a time. You'll build sharper habits and see the game open up. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing, and if you haven't already, check out these 5 simple tips to instantly improve your Marvel Rivals gameplay here. Until next time. I should have committed to that Raid Shadow Legends joke.